Hi, I'm Ian Kerr. We're here at Postal Vision 2020 and I'm joined by Jeff Peoples. You gave a presentation this morning which, well, afterwards I felt a little bit like leaping off the top of a tall building without any superpowers. But I don't think you came here to send people into a deep depression. You actually came here to inspire people to start thinking about the future. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
So,
the future is more optimistic and more abundant than we think, and there's a lot of reasons for that. It's something that we all think, oh, there's going to be faster and faster change. And the opportunities that are allotted from artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, the convergence of digital printing, and all the modern technologies that are based on the continual price performance improvement in computing is actually going to liberate people, even though our first thing is how concerned we are about how bad the change will be. And the reality is, after doing this for years, so I've been helping companies save thousands of dollars, actually billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars since I started doing this in 1988. I founded Wind2Book. And we started publishing electronic books, electronic domestic mail manual. Now, it's pretty boring text, thousands and thousands of pages, all interrelated. But we made it so that people can do more important things all across the way. So we've done studies that say, as you take a person that's doing a redundant task that's either dirty, demoralizing, or just not at all interesting, and you get a machine to do that, you actually have enough time and money freedom to get people to jump up to what I call their next level of greatness. And it's terrifying in the beginning. It is. It's like the job that I've been doing is changing, and that's very terrifying. And I can relate. It's tough to change.
I think that podcast hosts should be fine, though. Right? It sounds like a little bit of liberating people from drudgery, in one respect. Now, if your life has been spent doing it could be a repetitive task or a task that could, maybe not now, but could soon be replaced by or done by a machine, that can be quite, as you said, a bit terrifying. If you're a truck driver today and you say, well, if I'm going to be retiring in 5 years, you're probably not worrying. If you're a truck driver of the age of 30, you might be thinking, well, what does this mean for me? So where as a, this is going to be a really deep question, probably out of place on the Postal Hub or in this on this video, but where can we expect to go as a society if the repetitive jobs, the jobs that might require little training or specialist knowledge, start to become incrementally autonomized? Automated is probably the right word. Automated. Replaced. Yeah. What does that mean for us? Is it going to be a society change as well?
Absolutely. But it's hard to see. If you were a farmer and back in 150 years ago in America, which is what 98% of the population was doing, they were in part of the agriculture, and you said, well, you don't have to worry about it, but your great-grandchildren aren't going to be farming. As a matter of fact, 98% of all the jobs that are happening in the agricultural world will be gone. That'd be terrifying to you. It's like you love this, but they're going to be doing website development and they're going to be doing podcast interviews. Yeah, they wouldn't even have an idea about what you're talking about. So most of the things that will be coming in the future are better than you think, but they're different than you think. It's hard for us to see today, 10 years in, because exponential changes are just that way. You know, when you're doubling, you know, if you're doubling 1 to 2 and 2 to 4 and 4 to 8 and 8 to 16, well, it's kind of boring. It's a very small percentage of what's happening. It's just, oh, okay, yeah, this little thing that's happening. But once it starts to grow and you're doubling 2 million to 4 million and 4 million to 8 million of whether it be transactions or whether it be deliveries or whether it be any kind of action like how photography has changed or how soon, like the taxi business. You see, my goodness, it blossomed when Uber and Lyft came in, the number. Now it's going to be disrupted again. And so people are just going to have to realize that we're going to be shifting on a more regular basis, and we're going to be shifting our education. We're going to be spending more time learning. Now, back 150 years ago, so I come from Cambridge, Massachusetts, right between Harvard and MIT, and I will tell you that when 150 years ago, it was such a small percentage of the people were able to get that higher education. Now, with a smartphone, you'll be able to learn things and learn new areas that I can't even imagine right now. 5-10 years from now, there's so many sites, and John Hagel, one of the other speakers, was talking about learning platforms. So we're going to be spending more time learning from podcasts and learning from other areas, because that's what human experience is going to be. It's going to be more of a learning experience. It's going to be more of a adapting. And I think that there are unique things that people do really, really well. They communicate amongst each other. They add value to each other. They can care for each other. They can do things that if you're always doing a manual, meaningless job, you will never have the time and money and freedom to be able to do. So just imagine, if you were 100 years ago and you had to do something your forefathers did, it probably wouldn't be as exciting as the life that you live right now, being able to interview people. And I'm saying that there'll be more meaning in work. There will be more connectedness to what is unique about you. What you do really well will be expanded, because you don't have to do the mundane things that we had to do in order to survive. The amount of time that you're going to spend on getting the food that you need, the clothing you need, the shelter you need, will be diminished as part of your day. And now it's a time for people to go and learn about other things that will help them add value to others, because that's what business is all about, is creating value for others. And I could tell you that machines will have their ability to do things, but humans will have their ability to add on. And as long as we're utilizing machines to serve us, to have that time and money freedom to explore, we'll be able to create at a much bigger level than we ever could before. So though it's the scariest time to live, because it looks very, very tough, it's the best time to live, because we have these opportunities to learn and to expand ourselves, because the percentage of time that we have to spend on sustenance of just getting by with the basics is being reduced.
So more time to watch YouTube videos.
Yeah, there you go. Right. In your podcast, you're going to have more people.
Did you get that, everybody? More time to listen to podcasts. Look, we've focused on the personal level here. Let's now look at the corporate level, because if you're running if you're a senior manager at a post or at a parcel delivery company, you're already seeing automation coming in various parts of the business. We've seen in letters, for example, the level of automation when it comes to sorting is incredible compared to where we were 20 years ago, 50 years ago, etc. And now we're seeing those same advances coming in parcels. And the next part to be overhauled will probably be the physical delivery. Yes. So how can a corporation plan for what is, I think the phrase you might have used was exponential change? Is that
exponential change, yes.
Right.
Exponential
so
technology is causing exponential change, absolutely.
Can you plan for that? Do you just have to kick back and say, let it happen, and just watch YouTube?
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with watching some YouTube as long as you're learning from it. It's not just purely education, it's edutainment. That's great.
Getting to the corporate planning side of it then.
Yeah, corporate planning. So, you know, the two time frames I see have got to be expanded, making it so that you have a much longer term vision. I happen to look for 25 years. I know John Hagel was talking about the 5 to 10, the 10 to 20 years. So, you know, looking at a longer level, I personally do my planning 25 years out. What are the things that in 25 years will still be there? You know, Jeff Bezos talks about people will still want better, higher quality products, less expensively, and delivered when they want them and where they want them. So those things aren't going to go away. Now, yes, it's going to be scary because we can't, as you get closer and closer to what we call the singularity, which is the rate of pace of change is so great that we actually can't see far into the future at all. We can't see the next disruptor coming because it's happening so quickly. That's what the term singularity is all about. And the rate of change right now, it is tough, but there are fundamental things. So as a corporate planner, you could look at long-term values. It's like, oh, we're going to be looking at how do we make sure that the widest variety of custom delivered solutions exactly for this person. So we know more about our client or our customer. I typically call our clients because I want to care and protect for them. The vast majority of the world calls it about customers, but it's something where you're going to know more about it. You're going to be giving very unique offers. We just heard other presentations about unique prices, unique deliveries, uniqueness to what you want. So it's all going to be about the individual, what the individual wants. As we grow with knowledge, we're going to be able to deliver higher value. Now, my friend Peter Diamandis says in the next 10 years, more value creation, more wealth creation will happen than the last 100. That's a huge statement. But he's a very, very deeply researched person on this in this area. So as a corporate planner, you're going to be saying, we know that the opportunities are bigger than they ever were, but also the dangers, the new competitors. This is where your relationship with your client, with your customer, is going to become more and more important. Don't look at them as just a number. You're going to find out more and more about those people. You're going to find out more and more about what they want now and knowing a little bit about what they want in the future. So you looked at, another presenter was talking about, wow, what a fantastic panel. Many, many presenters. I think we got over 50 of them. But the dimension of getting what people are going to buy and where they're going to want them delivered, with artificial intelligence, it's getting better and better at predicting moving your inventory closer to people, but also broadening all the sources from which around the world you can get inventory or get products that uniquely fit your customers' needs. So that's going to expand, and it's going to be one of these things where people are going to have to spend more time on things that I think are uniquely human. Knowing what somebody else wants is a uniquely human. Yes, you're going to definitely need to have the data. Use the data, but use the data for good human purposes, and all of a sudden you have a fantastic ability to create value for others.
I think this kind of talk is simultaneously frightening and exciting for people in the postal world because yes, there'll be a huge overhaul of the way that some of the traditional business will be done. There was incremental change for many years, and we could be entering into a world of, to call it step change, what should we call it? But if you're talking about knowing more about the customer and getting better acquainted with the customer, that's something that probably a post is positioned better than many other corporations to do.
Yeah, the posts around the world, we just heard another presenter say that the posts are uniquely able to know who lives where, which is the shift to who controls identity is going to shift more towards the person being identified and what information they want. But the posts are uniquely positioned to be able to augment their standard delivery with additional deliveries, with last-minute e-commerce and things like that, being able to use their base delivery as a sustaining base and to add and augment with last-minute, oh, you're on this route, let's put this thing to that location. You're already going to that location, and they'll be able to do it much more cost-effectively than anybody else. So I think that as the posts utilize their abilities, and they're going to have to be flexible. Some of the old work rules are going to have to change. And
that's difficult in a highly unionized workforce.
Yeah, it is no doubt about it difficult. But it's, if you really care, the purpose for unions was to protect the worker. And we just have to realize that protection of workers and caring for people is slightly different in 2018 than it was in 1918. And so we need to look at, okay, what is really the right thing? It's more of a symbiotic relationship with the host organization, the worker, and the client or the customer, the buyer. So we all got to look at this thing that we're all working in it together. It's not like us against management or
and
things
managing
like
this transformation is also crucial to maintaining the Post's reputation for trust
Yes.
as well. So the people will, from outside, will judge the Post on how it manages the transformation, and that judgment will then inform the customer's trust in the Post as well, which will be crucial if that Post is managing more and more personal data. And obviously we've got lots of cultural issues that go into that as well, government ownership and government personal privacy versus what the government should know about you. And we could probably talk for another 30 minutes about blockchain and about privacy. You want to say something?
Blockchain.
That face says I need to say something or I'm going to explode.
We just, how these the convergence of these technologies, as the Post utilize blockchain for identity management, they've started out with a fantastic fundamental thing that the Posts are already trusted, and they're more trusted than many other organizations.
They're trusted probably more than a lot of corporations, but it's astonishing how much trust people will put in, say, Facebook. Now that, as we record this, that trust in Facebook is being threatened severely. And I know that there are some people in the postal workers world who say, well, why should a customer put faith in a corporation instead of a government entity? But there are plenty of other people who would say, why should I put my faith in a government entity?
Yes.
Deep questions.
Yes,
Jeff.
and that's why blockchain is going to shift this, is that you have there is a fundamental trust. I was just speaking down at NASDAQ about the shift in trust, because that's what blockchain fundamentally does, is it makes the trust from the United States we have in God we trust on our dollars. Well, we're shifting from trust in organizations and in financial institutions to a big, well thought out piece of software. That's what blockchain is. You can say it's a trust in math, it's a trust in software, it's a trust in a system that the best and brightest can look at and say, you know something, this is unhackable. That is what we're going to trust, because we as humans, we are hackable. We take, look, it's been, people get bribed. If there's enough, they get corrupted. And even great people become fallible. That's part of our human nature, is we are fallible. And these systems are very, very, very difficult to hack. And it makes it so that we have a combination of a trust, like in the Post, and a trust in a technology, and you combine those where the Post is adding to that technology information that they are trusted, that yes, this person does live at that address. We do get deliveries to that. We can do that. That's a way of utilizing a trusted party like the Post to add to a very trusted and a growing trusted thing like blockchain, and you have something that's really winning. And then you add it to something where the Posts have got these standardized delivery routes, and they can add on just augmented local e-commerce things for additional revenue. You can make something that the Posts have the opportunity. Doesn't mean they're guaranteed at all, but they have the opportunity to grow. And as they become a platform and partner with local people, you'll see kind of growth like you see with Uber. I know the taxi cab people were very disappointed when Uber came in there, very much disrupted it. But the number of rides increased dramatically. And that's fantastic for the overall economy. I was just
not so great for congestion on the roads.
Well, no, but actually, when you start to look at things like Uber Pool, where when I travel, I was just out in Beverly Hills. I go to the airport. I'll say I'll take an Uber Pool. It's about half the price than the
so you're sharing a car with it's basically cars, traditional.
Exactly. So it's a higher density.
Proper car sharing.
Exactly, and the same thing is going to happen. So I was just speaking down at the National Association of Pre-Sort Mailers, and Chairman Taub, who was talking about the distribution rules for the Postal Service says that about 60% of the total volume in these trucks that are going is empty. Now, with technology, we can make it so that the density of these trucks is much higher. The right size truck, the right timing of the truck, and that truck can take other additional things in its route, because now we utilize software to make what was very difficult to do very simple to do, or relatively simple to do. And we make it so that actually the density of the distribution is going to be much better. So we're going to get more people delivered or more goods delivered with less space on the roads.
So we live in interesting times. The continuing increase, expansion, exponential capacity increase for computing will benefit the postal sector, the delivery sector somehow. We've just got to be brave enough to grab the horns of the bull. I'm really mixing metaphors today, everybody. Grab the horns of the bull, ride the wave, I don't know. Just hang on to something and don't look backwards, but
yeah, and be careful of the fear. So fear can be a great motivator, and I could tell you, fear's been a motivator in my life. I'll just tell you one quick story before we go, which is that, you know, when I was a child, we always wrote thank you notes to our grandparents, but I had this one grandparent that I was always afraid to say thank you notes to, because he would circle them in red pencil, all his grandchildren, and send them back with any spelling errors and things like that. So, you know, I was like, oh my goodness. And I can remember I used that fear, and later I became so obsessed with spelling that I created, before even IBM PC came out, a programmable keyboard on something called CPM that could actually check spelling.
CPM.
Yeah, I know, I'm dating myself, my goodness. This goes back years and years and years. And so, but you can utilize fear, like utilize the fear of what's happening in a positive way, as long as we realize that, you know, it's just a motivation. It's not our core thing, because as long as we're going to be in this co-opetition. So I've utilized that fear. I created software companies. Our clients literally produce 5 out of every 10 envelopes delivered in America, letters. So and we can utilize these things like, oh, fear of what am I going to do when I'm a truck driver, and well, you can change these learning platforms and these ways. We're going to be learning new jobs, taking the skills, and we're all going to be learning about what our unique abilities are, because you have unique abilities, I have unique abilities, and everybody out in the audience has unique abilities. As we learn these unique abilities, we're going to be spending more time in what we're great at, and we're going to be offloading the repetitive tasks, the things that machines can do better. Let the machines do them better. But we're going to be doing the creative things. I think that's going to be a fantastic flourishing of purpose, of people really living in what they were, you know, in their purpose. And it's just so much better of a world to live in. But you got to go through the Fury transition.
I reckon that's the right note for us to end on.
Yes.
Jeff Peoples from Window Book, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure.